Hi. My name is Artem, I'm 37 years old. And I'm a former beggar who fulfilled his dream. I started traveling the world. But for some reason, instead of support, I started hearing accusations from people in my past, that I'm a traitor, selfish, that I just ran away. And now I keep asking myself, did I really do something wrong? Am I the asshole for not staying in poverty and choosing to escape? My life was never easy. I grew up in a home filled with fear instead of love. My father was a violent alcoholic. My mother was too scared to stand up for me. At 14, I dreamed of freedom. At 16, I started sleeping in stairwells. By 17, I had completely run away from home. And that's when life really began, the kind most people couldn't handle. I had no documents, no money, no contacts, I was just living on the streets. At first I slept in parks, then in forests on the outskirts of the city. Later came train stations, garbage bins, abandoned buildings. In winter, I searched for warm places, sometimes hiding in underground passages, until the police kicked me out. No, I wasn't a drug addict or alcoholic, like many assume. I wasn't a criminal either. I was just lost. I didn't choose to live this way. Life pushed me into a hole, and no one gave me a rope. I tried to work. I washed car windows at intersections, carried cement on construction sites, mopped cafe floors. But every time someone found out I didn't have documents, I got fired. Once, someone stole everything I had saved over a week, which was all the money I had for food. Another time I passed out from hunger right in the city center. And it was then, during those lowest moments, that a dream began to form in me. I would close my eyes and imagine myself in the mountains. Or by the sea. Or somewhere in Paris or Rome. I didn't even know what those places were really like, I just imagined being free. Traveling. Breathing fresh air. Not worrying about where I'd find my next slice of bread. That dream became my lifeline. I started saving every coin I earned. Bought a second-hand backpack from a thrift store. A volunteer I met, his name was Yuri, gave me an old sleeping bag. I managed to save a bit more to buy a cheap thermos, flashlight, a few socks. I started reading books at the library about hitchhiking, survival, and budget travel. That's how my plan was born. I knew no one would support me. The guys I shared benches and basements with laughed at me. What, you think you're better than us? One even said, you'll rot on the road and crawl back here. But I didn't think I was better. I just couldn't take it anymore. The first day of my journey, I stood by the highway outside Lviv with a cardboard sign that said, Lublin. A truck driver stopped. We drove in silence for 2 hours. Then he suddenly said, I used to sleep on the streets too. Good for you for not giving up. And that felt like a sign. In Poland, I first slept in a forest, then found seasonal work on a raspberry farm. It was hard, the pay was low, but I had food and a roof. I started learning Polish, even found a small local library. After a month, I had a little bit saved and decided to move on, Slovakia, then the Czech Republic, then Slovenia. I slept in tents, under bridges, sometimes in hostels if I had extra cash. People helped me, some gave me rides, others offered coffee, and many gave warm, encouraging words. In Slovenia, I met a guy from Germany who was running a travel blog. I told him my story and he said, this is the most incredible thing I've ever heard. You need to share this. And he gave me an old smartphone. I recorded a video, kneeling in front of a river, just me and my backpack. I told the story of how I went from the streets to traveling Europe. The video went viral. Within a week it had 100,000 views. People wrote me hundreds of messages. You gave me hope. I've been stuck in depression, but your story inspired me to go hike in the mountains. You're a hero. Then came Italy. I volunteered at a hostel, cleaned, helped with check-ins, in exchange for food and shelter. I started writing my memoir. A German editor contacted me and said she wanted to publish my story. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just surviving, I was living. But then the messages changed. Remember that guy from the streets, Vitaly? The one who told me I'd rot and come back. He messaged me on Facebook. Oh, so you're famous now? Did you forget who you are? Forgot who you shared a sleeping bag with? You're a traitor. And he wasn't the only one. A few people I knew from the streets were furious. Why aren't you helping us? We want to go to Italy too. You sold out. It hurt. Because these weren't strangers. These were people I once shared crusts of bread with. I started to doubt myself. Maybe I did betray them. Maybe I should have come back and helped everyone. But I'm not the government. I'm not a millionaire. I'm just a guy who didn't break and chased a dream. I still help people, I reply to messages, I share everything I know, I give advice to anyone who wants to escape the streets. But I can't live in the past. I don't want to go back to sleeping on cardboard in the freezing cold. I don't want to go back to the smell of trash and hopelessness. I chose life. And I don't think that makes me a bad person. Now I sit by the sea, sipping tea from a thermos, listening to the waves. And I wonder. Am I really the asshole for choosing life over pain? Maybe Reddit will tell me the truth.